Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I want to thank you guys for tuning in again. I want to thank everyone for all the new subscribers that I've gotten since the last video. Thank everyone for the comments. The comments kind of fuel things along and make me think about some of the things I'm talking about in my videos and some of the ways I fish some of these baits that I've been talking with you guys about. So it's kind of back and forth dialogue in its own way. So I appreciate the comments, keep them coming, and also just thank everyone for tuning into the channel. It's done pretty good, and like I said, I'm trying to do 1 or 2 videos a week, and I want to try to keep the content going in a direction where it's stuff that you guys are interested in and that keeps bringing you back. So today we're going to talk about a bait that's I've been throwing it for years, and I think a lot of guys probably still throw it, and that's a jerk bait. But I'm not talking about the suspending jerk bait, which you see a lot of people mentioned in the videos nowadays. I know that is a good lure this time of the year. You know, there's several out there that a lot of people like to throw, and they put a lot of fish in the boat, especially from now up until the spawn. And now suspending jerk baits have gotten popular to the point where people pretty much throw me around. But I'm talking about a shallow water jerk bait, or like a twitch bait you might call it. And it's the old school Rattlin Rogue. Now this one is kind of wore out. Well, it's not really wore out because it still catches fish, but the paint on it's getting kind of, let's see, show you a comparison. That's a new one, relatively new, and that's one that has caught quite a few fish. Now before I even get started with this, I got to give props to and I'm not going to give his whole name away, but it was a guy I used to fish with in a club. One of the first clubs I ever got in. His name was Glenn, and he always did really, really well with this bait. And up until the time, this has been over 20 years ago, up until the time he mentioned it to me, I had never thrown it. I was fortunate enough to get to fish with him 2 or 3 different times where we were in the same boat, but we fished against each other in this club a lot more often, and a lot of times he would spank a lot of us, and it was on this bait right here. After he introduced me to it, I started, I guess what you call, again, figuring up things and putting my little spin on how to fish this bait. So again, I say this just about every video I make when I make it about a certain particular kind of bait. This is just what has worked for me. This is not something and it's set in stone, that because no 2 people fish a bait alike. Very seldom do you see 2 people that take a lure or a bait and fish it exactly the same way. That's usually not the case. So, but I just wanted to mention him because he's the one that started me kind of down the journey with this bait right here. When do I start throwing? It's going to be pretty soon. Now, to me, the Rogue is different than a lot of the top waters because you can keep it below the surface. You can make it a subsurface bait as well. When that water temperature gets, I'd say, around 53 degrees, that's when I start to consider it. The biggest thing is the water temperature, just like with a suspending jerkbait. Excuse me. Hold on a second. A suspending jerkbait, the water temperature is going to dictate the cadence and how you retrieve it. In the early spring, I'd say March, April, whenever they start to spawn in your area, you want to keep it below the surface. Don't let it come back to the top, because if you ever fished a rogue before, if you twitch it kind of slow, it's going to stay below the surface, and you can probably keep it, I'd say probably a foot, 2 foot down. As soon as you twitch it a couple times, as soon as it starts to rise, don't let it get to the surface. Just slow twitches and keep it under the water. You would be surprised how many fish, even at a water temperature, say 53 and up, how many fish will come up. They don't want to come all the way to the surface, but they're looking up anyway, that time of the year. A lot of them are. And in my experience, they will come up and eat this bait. So early on in the year, I'm just making sure I keep it down as far as I can keep it without working it too fast, and not letting it come to the surface. And like I said, you'll be surprised at the number of bites that you'll get that way. Now, as you get closer to the spawn and fish actually start to spawn, that's when you want to fish it. You know, I can remember, you've heard over the years a lot of people say like a devil horse. Well, rogue is kind of the same way. You want to twitch it when it hits the water. You kind of almost want to let the ripples go away, and then you want to twitch it and let it rise up and just sit there. And then twitch it again, and then just let it sit there. And it's, you know, sometimes that can be a slow way to fish, but it really draws fish up. I tell you something else about the rogue too, is it'll draw fish away from cover and show you where they live, or where they are, or where they're holding. Even if they don't eat it, it'll show you where they are. And you may be able to throw something else in there at them to catch them, like a Cinco, or you know, a worm. The slider head I talked about is something I use as a follow-up bait a lot. But you at least know where that fish is and where he's holding, or she's holding. And that's another cool thing about a rogue, is it just, in the spring, it's like a magnet. And again, this is for me. I don't always catch all the fish with it, but I see where a lot of fish are and where they're holding, just by the way they'll come out and kind of look at the rogue. And a lot of times they'll eat it, but sometimes they don't. So now, as the spawn goes through, and I realize this is all stuff that's a couple of months away, but once the water temperature gets, like I said, to around 53, I'll start throwing. So, but as you move further along in the spawn, and say some of them have started, and there's fry starting to show up, that's when you want to keep it, again, you want to keep it moving, and you can let it come to the top every now and then, but you can get a little bit more aggressive with your cadence, because by then the water's getting warmer. And if they're garden fry, there's always a few baits that you can throw. I've had good success with the rogue when they're garden fry. Now, some people purposely don't fish for bass, when they're spawning, and I get that. Everybody's different. I don't fish for them as much as I used to. But sometimes when they're garden fry, you don't always know that's what they're doing. But you can catch fish just because that bait gets too close around the area where that fry may be, and they're gonna eat it. Another thing is the bluegill spawn. So let's talk about color for a second. I only throw 2 colors. I don't even know how many colors of rogue they make, and that's the truth, because I don't throw but 2. I mean, I've seen fire tiger before, but I've never thrown it. But I've seen them in the store. You got the chrome with the black back and the white belly, and you've got the gold with the black back and the orange belly. Anytime I'm fishing a river or tannic water, or when there's a bluegill spawn and the bass are feeding, hanging around bluegill beds and stuff like that, I ain't gonna say always, because once I start throwing this, I'll have both these tied on. I'll have the chrome black back, and I'll have the gold with black back. But when they're on a bluegill bed deal, where they're just sitting up outside the bluegill beds and they're feeding on them, I have more luck with the gold and black with the orange belly, just because of the colors of it. And in the spring, the way the bluegills start to light up with their colors, I think that may have something to do with it. Now, I can't say for sure, but I can tell a difference. I get more bites doing the bluegill spawn on this color. Sometimes I use the feather treble, sometimes I don't. I can't honestly say that the feather treble makes that bit of a difference. Some people believe in it. I usually keep one rigged up both ways, with one and without one, and just kind of play with it until I can see which one may be the one that does the job. Same thing with the chrome color. I usually keep a feather treble on one and keep one without. But bluegill spawns another time it works, and I'll use the gold and black with the orange belly. In clearer water, a lot of the lakes, the rivers seem to be more tannic and darker water most of the time. The lakes, I throw the chrome and black more often. But during the bluegill spawn, like I said, I'll stick to the gold and black with the orange belly. This bait is something that is a confidence thing for me in the spring. Year after year, I've grown to depend on it more and more, and it's just a bait that I feel like if I keep it in my hand as we get close to the spawn, when you get, I'd say like 2 to 3 days away from when fish are really getting ready to move on the bed, this bait just does really well for me. And a lot of people, I don't think, aren't throwing it then, at least in my experience. And if I keep it in my hand, I feel like I'm going to catch it. And a lot of times I catch good ones with it. It's just another one of those things that, to me, it's something that, with all the new baits, all the new tackle that's coming out, it's a bait that not many people talk about anymore. Everyone talks about the suspend and jerk baits, and I get it. They catch fish too, a lot of them. But this was just something that here soon I'll have them tied on, and it's weird with this bait, because some years you'll get on a roll with it and you never ever put this bait down. But some years after the spawn and fish start to move away from that and the bluegill are done spawning, this bait doesn't get as many bites after that. But some years I have been able to catch fish with it all year long, so. But again, this is just another bait I want to share with you guys, and some of the reasons and some of the, things I do and to make it work for me. I hope this helps. I hope it helps somebody else catch more fish. And just like a lot of the other baits I've talked about, this bait will work in the river, it'll work in a lake, it'll work in a farm pond. You can catch fish with it just about anyway. And just keep your retrieve in the cadence according to how warm or cold the water is, and it'll put them in the boat for you. I want to thank everybody again for all the comments, the people that have subscribed to the channel, and just for the views, for watching the videos. And if I can tell there's a lot of people watching the videos that aren't subscribing. If you would, it'd be a big favor to me if you would subscribe, because I can tell by looking at the report, the analytics that YouTube sends me, that there's a lot of people coming watching the videos, but they aren't subscribing to the channel. So if you're there anyway and you're enjoying the video and the content you're watching, if you would, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe as well. Hope everybody has a great day, and hope everybody has a good fishing season, because it's not going to be long. Things are going to get kicked off here and everywhere else. So good luck to everybody. Hope everybody has a good day and tight lines, and I'll see you on the next one.